Let's do that. Let's see, make sure I have the captions on here for me, which helps me. All right, so let's get started with the Understand Narcissist and Break Free workshop. Why understand narcissists? Why break free? Well, we want to be free, and it wasn't until maybe when I was say 30. I want to say 30. I'm 42 now. I didn't know what narcissism was as the word. It took me like reading a book, having to read a book to be, presented with the word narcissism and then the word enmeshment. And I was like, okay, that makes a lot of sense of why I feel about certain ways about some family members. So I was like, okay, I need to do some healing here. So I went on a journey of healing, did a lot of healing, a lot of workshops, a lot of conferences, a lot of certifications, and got results. So that's the big reason why. Why is it important to understand narcissists and then or narcissism? And I'll talk about the difference between understanding narcissist and narcissism. Narcissist is an identity, a label we can give another. Narcissism is the behavior, and the difference, subtle difference of just by shifting towards focusing on the behavior and not an identity can help us break free, and other things as well. So that's the promise of today, that if you really play full out, that by the end of the workshop, you feel like, okay, either you broke free or you started to. Yeah, so that's the promise. So play full out, whatever that means to you. Use your intuition and yeah, so trust your gut feeling and things of that nature. Okay, so understanding narcissists involves learning about narcissistic personality disorder, NPD, which is a mental health disorder characterized by a long-term pattern of exaggerated feelings of self-importance, excessive craving for admiration, and a lack of empathy for others. The last one, the lack of empathy for others, really hit home for me. And I'll just be like very blunt here. When I was reading the book called The Truth, where I learned about narcissism and enmeshment, all I could think of was about my mother. And I was like, okay, but how can this be? She's my mom. She loves me. I know she loves me. So, when one thing that I noticed, it was the lack of empathy. Even though she loved me, she did love me with a lot of action. Sometimes I didn't feel loved. And that's when the healing began for me. So I might give you some examples here just to ground, just to let you know that I'm just, talking from experience here. And then as you hear my examples, just like replace it with your own, whatever you're going through or whatever you went through. So it's just to, it's not so I can talk about me, it's so that you can think about, okay, this is, I can relate, but with a different relationship. So let's talk about the key points to help you understand narcissistic behavior. 1, sense of entitlement or superiority. People with this behavior, they have a grandiose sense of self-importance. They believe they're superior to others, and they have a strong sense of entitlement. They expect special treatment and unearned admiration. So who comes to mind that may fit this or the behavior? For instance, I didn't have the people in my life that had narcissistic behaviors. I haven't met many with this one, and we'll go over 5 others that have been that I have encountered, but this one not so much. Perhaps for you, you have. Next, craving for admiration. Narcissists or people with narcissistic behavior thrive on admiration and attention from others. They often seek out people who will enforce their self-perception and will become angry or upset if they don't receive the admiration they believe they deserve. It's okay to crave admiration, but getting upset or angry if they don't receive, that is a sign that someone is acting out their narcissistic behaviors. Next, lack of empathy. One of the hallmarks of narcissistic personality disorder is a lack of empathy for others. It's like feeling what the other person could be feeling. A lot of empathy has to do with guessing or imagining. Like, I'm imagining if someone says, hey, someone just ran over my dog. I'm imagining what that person could be feeling. So it's not an exact science to have empathy or practice being empathic, but it's trying. And people with narcissistic behaviors, they lack that desire to imagine pain, suffering, sadness for the sake of rapport, for the sake of being in a relationship that's harmonious. So they're usually focused on their own needs and desires. And this is where my relationship with my mom when I was a child, it kept coming up a lot. Like, yeah, she does everything that mother does to love a child as far as taking care of the child. She fed me super well. But it was like I didn't feel like there was something missing there. And it was something that we're going to talk about in the next one. It's sometimes if a person is not being empathic, they are not acknowledging the other person's reality. And we're going to go that in the next one. So the next one is manipulative and controlling. And manipulative and controlling. Narcissists or people with narcissistic disorders, they can be manipulative and controlling using various strategies to maintain power and control over others. They actually create schemes like strategies and tactics. This can include, and here's the big one, gaslighting, which is making someone question their own reality. Gaslighting is if a child, if someone or an adult comes to another, says, I feel sad, or I feel hungry, or I feel anything, and the other person does not acknowledge that, okay, I get that you are hungry or you're sad. If there's anything other than acknowledging, that is gaslighting. So it would be like, what do you mean you're hungry? Or what do you mean you sad or feel sad? You should be grateful, or you ate 2 hours ago. Gaslighting, it has been and it's something that just in the past few years I've come to understand more and more, because I guess there was very few people in my life that I had that, that had that behavior. And one of them was, one of my parents. So this is a big sign. I think it's one of the biggest ones for the narcissistic disorder is gaslighting. If you say something to someone and that person is not acknowledging the way you said it, like accepting, I don't know if accepting is the right word. Yeah, it's accepting. It's accepting without necessarily agreeing. So for instance, my girlfriend can say something like, I didn't like how you talked to me this morning, or I didn't like this text. Like, actually, this happened yesterday. She was showing me a text I sent her, and she was like, this line right here, there's something about this line I didn't like. I'm like, okay, let's talk about it. And then I understood, and then I accepted, and I also agreed. I'm like, okay, I'm not going to type anything like that anymore. Thank you for letting me know. So if the conversation that you're having with someone is anything less than they accept, whether they agree or not, it's a big sign that that person is going through the narcissistic behavior. And either you remove yourself from the environment or set boundaries. And boundaries is something that is, we're going to do some workshopping later, which is one of the ways towards freedom, is boundaries. All right, so we talked about, let's see, gaslighting. There's also deception and emotional abuse under the umbrella of manipulative and controlling. So under the umbrella of manipulative and controlling, there's gaslighting, there's deception, and there's emotional abuse. And there's a lot in those three, because deception, lying, not being truthful, being dishonest. Sometimes it's, we may feel or get that's happening, even though I believe intuitively, and this is not backed by any data, but I've been testing this for years now, that I believe that everyone knows what's happening at all times through intuition, and it's a matter of the conscious mind, the mini computer, accepting it. I believe that the body's sensitive enough with all the systems that it has to run, the heart beating, the lungs breathing, digestive systems. I believe it's smart, intelligent enough to pick up when someone is being untruthful. And it's then up to the mini computer, the conscious mind, to accept so that's my hallucination. That's my imagination. I've been testing that for years now. And so far it has checked out. Perhaps in the future, I'll do a study or something. So next, let's talk about the next key point for you to understand someone with a narcissistic behavior, which is difficulty with relationships. Because of these characteristics, narcissists often have difficulty maintaining healthy relationships. They may have a series of shallow relationships and struggle with commitment and fidelity. So if you know someone has difficulty with relationships, you have a choice. I'm not saying that people going through narcissistic behaviors are, you just should stay away from them. I think it's, if they are in our lives or they are passing through our lives, it's then an opportunity for us to get really good with communication and boundaries. Really good communication and boundaries. And we're going to do some exercises in a little bit for us to practice, train ourselves in getting better in communication and boundaries. And the last key point for you to understand this behavior is vulnerable self-esteem. People with this behavior, despite their outward appearance of confidence, people with this behavior, narcissism, they often have fragile self-esteem. And they're highly reactive to criticism. Even if it's constructive, they may respond with anger or contempt. So this one was a big one when I was reading the book, The Truth. And me going, okay, yeah, I can see how growing up with a mother that's, at times it was so loving, was so caring, and then the next moment it's like, if I was to say, Mom, how about we do, something a little different here. I think I have a better idea of doing this thing that you're asking me to do, this chore or something. And it was like an immediate, like, nope, shut. No, we're doing this way, my way. You don't know anything. Blah, blah, whatever. We're all good now. Me and my mom, we have a great relationship, but it's good to share those moments that happened when I was a kid. So for you is, if you have someone in your life that they can't take criticism, even if it's constructive, that's a big sign they're acting out narcissistic behaviors. And it's important to note that not everyone displaying these traits has a narcissistic personality disorder. The personality traits exist on a continuum. So it could be that someone yesterday, maybe me today, I had a narcissistic thought, or you yesterday, or 10 years ago, or so it doesn't mean that if someone has any of this this traits here, that they have the disorder, which to me, just by like naming a disorder, I think it's great for a time. However, persisting naming that disorder is, and not focusing on working on the behavior, not so much the person, but the behavior, which can be worked with through boundaries. I think labels can, some people start identifying the other or self if it, as that, and I think that's a dangerous zone when using a label too long. It's good, I think, for diagnosis. Use the label, okay, NPD, narcissistic disorder, and then go for a label that you want. I want to feel happy. I want to feel like I am in a relationship with someone I trust. I want to feel respected. And surround yourself with people like that. So labels, I think there's an opportunity to use labels for diagnosis for a period of time, a short period of time, and then use the after the diagnosis is done towards new labels, what it is that you want, instead of persisting the old behavior. So I believe that we that may know people going through the narcissistic disorder, that we can help ourselves feel better, perhaps potentially help the person having the disorder to change and transform by us choosing our labels correctly or timely, appropriately. So maybe 2 weeks, 4 weeks, yeah, use that label. But I think after 4 weeks, it's good to like really create boundaries to either exit the environment, allow your change to occur, meaning if you're creating boundaries, you will change. You will become a new person. You become more empowered, more communicative. You will be very focused on what you want in life, and you'll be confident. And if you're not getting it in a relationship, you have more courage to say no to most things that are not up there with your wants, instead of trying to be as close to the boundary line and not crossing it. So in a moment, we're going to do some exercise. And before I do that, are there any questions, comments, and yahas that have come up for you? This is the part that you unmute and participate in Playful Out.
Well, I guess my question is, with your mom, how did that relationship transform? Because I'm dealing with a parent that has some of those traits, and then also my soon-to-be ex-husband as well. And I just literally had a conversation with someone about my father and possibly going no contact because of his refusal to you know discuss his lack of respecting boundaries and just his lack of having any conversation really. And so I'm just curious how that kind of transformed and how those conversations took place to where you now have a good conversation with her.
Yeah.
Really.
Well, yes, thanks for that, Riley. And sorry to hear about what's happening with your father. So with my mom, the relationship is great because I changed. My mom, she has changed A little bit. We talk less. We probably talk maybe like twice a year, but I talk to my father almost every week, and usually my mom is listening on speaker. The relationship has changed where I feel like I put so many boundaries for her that, so one of my boundaries was, and I laugh because it's like, I did it. I'm laughing out like I did it. It took me a while, but I did it. And it was very tough because she's my mom. She had me in her belly. She loved me so much. I know she did. So the boundaries I put is, I noticed that she would call once a week and she would talk for hours. She really liked talking with me, listening. And then after a few years, I said, Mom, I'd like for you to ask me a question from time to time, even just to check in. Like, does this make sense, son? Like, are you there? Like, so I know that you're acknowledging my existence here. And like, I asked several times and then she didn't. So I think it came to a point where she just stopped calling. And I feel like when I call her, like, so for Mother's Day, birthday, like she has this deep respect for me. I feel it. So, and over the years, she started saying, I love you. Whereas in my family, no one said, I love you. And I broke that cycle. Like in my 20s, I went to a transformational weekend. And one of the exercises was call your parents, have a conversation about forgiving them for all the stuff they did. Not for them, but for you. So you feel better. So I feel better. So I did. So I called my mom. Mom, I forgive you. We both cried. I said, I love you. So it was the first time in the family that words exchanged. And she said, I love you back. So that was the first time. So dad, same thing. So how the relationship now is great with my mom, I feel like she respects me. It's probably like she probably doesn't have the ability to have a call with me and ask me how I'm doing. So I just accept the reality. Like she doesn't have that. It's almost like me grabbing a chair and talking to the chair and say, do this, talk back, do it. And I was like, I accepted my mom.
So it sounds like you're almost saying like you have to manage like your expectations of what the relationship is and accept, okay, the relationship you wanted with your mom, you're not going to get that type of relationship, and just accept that, hey, this is essentially who she is. And so I have to put up these boundaries to maintain my peace. And so this is the type of relationship we have to have. Like, is that essentially the idea of it?
Yes, except with the last part. This is the relationship we have to have,
Mhm.
except for that. So I like the idea of miracles.
Yeah.
So I one day, it's not that I'm expecting, but if my mom were to call and she just, have 10 questions to ask me, like an interview, that to me would be an action of love, an act of love for her to ask me questions.
Yeah.
So I would be like, when that happens, and I had not thought of this until now. When
Mhm.
that happens, it'll be, I'm going to, it's almost like I'm gonna be screaming of happiness inside, but at the same time, I'll be like soothing. It'll be like, yeah, I created the space for her to do that.
Yeah. Okay.
I, you know, yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah. Welcome. And I hope the relationship with your father, it's when you change, the relationship will change.
Yeah.
And dealing with reality is a lot kinder than dealing with expectations. So like look at his track record of actions and then like accept. You don't have to agree, accept. And you don't even have to think about the future much. because I would say it's better to leave the future empty.
Right.
Leave the future empty for possibilities to occur, miracles to occur. And then sometimes that vacuum pulls people like good behaviors out, like that vacuum
Mm.
of an empty future, like yeah, like that anything could happen.
Yeah.
So yeah, so when you change and he'll feel that you have changed, he'll either do the same things or he'll do different behaviors. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, welcome. How about some workshopping? You have pen and paper?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So we're gonna do a thing called the relationship agreement. And this relationship agreement is gonna be relationship agreement with self. So the title is relationship agreement with self. And under that, you're gonna write, say, 3 lists. The first list is called needs. Second list is wants. The third list is boundaries. Needs, wants, and boundaries. And we're going to take, say, the next 4 minutes or so to write. I'm going to put some soft music on here. We're going to write what your needs are, and I'm going to give you some examples. What your needs are with yourself, what your wants are with yourself, and what your boundaries are with yourself. And the reason why we're doing this is I've found over the years that the better relationship I had with myself, where I was meeting my needs, giving me my wants, respecting my boundaries, the better I became at doing that, the better I was then with having a relationship agreement with others. And I mean, this writing down of things, I don't have a relationship agreement with everyone. Like I don't even have one with my girlfriend. But the way that this can happen, there's about 3 or 4 layers for the relationship agreement with others, where the other person doesn't even to know that you have written these things down. It's just for you to be aware. And if you want to go a step further, you can have a conversation with them and say, hey, I want to talk with you about a relationship. I want a relationship to improve. Would you be open to that? If they say yes, then you go, okay, so here's some needs I have that I'd like for you to meet. Here's some wants I have that I'd like for you to give me. Here's some boundaries I have that I'd like for you to respect. And the difference between needs and wants is that needs are non-negotiable. They're like water to plants, water to humans. You can only last, a limited time without it. So that's how you know what a need is you need to have it. If it goes over, let's say, 2 weeks without having it, it's just the relationship is not sustainable, healthy, harmonious. Wants is when any question or needs.
Can you give an example of what you would maybe
Yeah.
put in a need?
Yeah. So I'll give 2 examples. One for a need with a relationship with myself and a need of a relationship with another. So for me, a need for a relationship with me, with self, is kindness. Kindness and specifically with inner dialogue.
Okay.
I need that. It another need, I'll do another one, is sleeping enough. I need to sleep enough. I tried doing, eating super healthy, meditating, and sleeping less to compensate for sleeping less. I need sleep to sleep 8 hours, 9 hours sometimes. So those are 2 examples for my need with self. A need with another, say my girlfriend. Something I had from her, a need I need her to meet is the need of physical affection. It can be a light touch in the hand when she's talking to me, a light touch in the shoulder. That's a need. Another need is eye contact. if she's talking to me, eye contact, and when if I'm talking with her, and she meets those needs like a champion, like she's amazing. And I don't think I've ever voiced these needs to her. she just meets them, but I'm becoming aware, since you asked. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. For the wants, an example of wants is things that are nice to have, but they are not necessary. So I want for a relationship with myself is to take me on, say, travel or to go traveling. It's a want to have, is not a need. It's like the icing on the cake. It's things, think of it as gifts that, sometimes we don't need gifts, but gifts are nice. I want an example of a want that I have with my girlfriend is for her to rub my feet. I don't need to have it. And when I ask her and she does it, like yesterday, it's like, thank you so much. This is such a gift. So does that make sense? Difference of wants and needs?
Yes.
Okay. So give examples now on boundaries. A boundary I have with myself. So a boundary is written in a bad sense of the word and sentence. So a boundary I have is criticizing myself. That's a boundary I have. And if in the past when I crossed those boundaries, and probably I crossed that boundary today in thought, if it persists for too long, my health starts decaying, my sense of being just, it's not healthy, it's not good. So criticizing self. Boundaries say I have with my girlfriend is disrespect. So far she hasn't, and I have that boundary with her. I haven't voiced it. The need has not arisen, and you want to have people around you that less and less you need to have boundary conversations with. It's okay to have, and I have had boundary conversations with my girlfriend, and then I've been learning, that there's also another level of awareness called acceptance. So for certain things, for most things actually, I went from having that as a boundary to then accepting her as she is, the behavior as she is, and then I changed how I saw that behavior to being now a behavior that had a different reason behind it. And then it actually started feeling good instead of being a trigger. However, if she had done something that was, say, disrespectful, I would have said, hey, this is disrespectful, or I feel disrespected. I need you to respect this boundary and be specific about what the boundary is. So the boundary is written in the bad sense of the action. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So start writing. You could do maybe, so start first with yourself, needs, wants, and boundaries. And I'll put a timer here for 4 minutes, and I'll find the soft music to play in the background. And if you have any questions in the 4 minutes, feel free to unmute and just ask them. All right. Finish up what you're writing. How was that?
It was good. It's kind of funny because my needs look like they're more I don't know how to explain it, like how I treat myself. Um and my wants are almost like goals.
Hmm.
And then my boundaries kind of link into my needs, like the negative, the opposite of those. So it's interesting looking at them. So
Yeah. And this exercise is mostly for awareness. And the more we become aware, the more we can have choice. And the more choice we have in life, more peace we'll have, more freedom. When I first wrote my relationship agreement with self, it got so long, so fast, and I promised to look at it every day. And I did it for maybe 30 days. And each time I would open it, I sometimes would add new things to it. I would add new needs, new wants, new boundaries, to the point where it was like, okay, I don't think I need to see this every day. Maybe once a week, maybe once a month. And then over the years, it got so long that I was like, okay, I think I've changed. I'm not that same person. And I had the idea of starting one from scratch after that Google Doc with maybe 3, 4 pages of bullet points. And I did. So it could happen that the more you do this exercise, you become more aware and then you change. You become a person that the self-love, self-care is so high that there'll come a point that you go, okay, I think I need to start from scratch and do one, because you'll be at a different level. You'll be thinking differently, feeling differently. Does that make sense?
no, that makes perfect sense because I was even um we did something similar at church this week actually. And the answers that I would have given a few months ago were so different than the answers I gave this week. And like the outcome was like, oh wow, okay, like I can see that progress. But I wouldn't have seen that progress a few months ago. So like you see the growth and just like how you've changed as you work on certain aspects of your life and yourself and just yeah. So it's just yeah. I'm not expressing it as eloquently as I like, but yes, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, yeah. So you just had it. You had the experience. Yeah, perfect. Good, good, good. Okay. We have a few minutes left. We can talk about anything if you want. More say guidance into perhaps doing the relationship agreement with someone else. Would you like to do that? I can set another timer and you can do perhaps one with your father where you have your wants, your needs, wants, and boundaries. Not necessarily for you to show him, but so
Right.
for you are aware. Would you like to do that?
Yeah, sure. I think that'd be a good exercise.
Okay, good. All right. So then create a new title there, maybe a different page. So this would be a relationship agreement with father. And then you have needs, wants, and boundaries, and allow any feelings that may come up for you to feel them. Like be okay feeling the feelings and really feeling the feelings. One of my mentors, one of his lines is that perhaps a lot of problems in humans that we were afraid of feeling feelings or fear of feelings. So consider that as you do this exercise, any feeling that comes up, just feel them instead of have been afraid. Not that you were, but does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, great. So I'm going to put another 4 minutes here and go ahead and start, and I'll play the music again. All right.
Right.
Start finishing up. What you writing? How did it go?
It went good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
nice. Got some clarity there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I love this exercise. It's really cool.
Yeah.
Good
It's
for
really fun
awareness.
exercise.
All right, all right. Well, it's coming up on the hour here. I have a class, a training session that I teach actually in about 7 minutes. Can I share a little bit about it?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So I have this training that I call 52 Weeks of Love, Freedom, and Growth. And I created it mainly for me to be accountable. Like I need to be accountable for certain things. And after going through so many transformations and healings, and so I created it and invited others to join. So once there's 5 sessions a week, most members join one a week, and they feel like it's enough. But there's 5 opportunities, and the Friday ones will start in maybe 5 minutes or so. So I'm putting in a link in the chat, and I'm also giving the first 5 sessions free for anyone here to try out. And if you feel like you want to have a one-on-one with me, there's a link for my calendar as well, where you can request a consultation. Any questions, comments, ahas, feedback from the entire session today, or what was most valuable about today's session?
I really liked the doing the relationship agreement.
Yeah.
So I enjoyed that. And then I'm gonna go and check out your website here. But yeah, no, I really liked that. It just helps kind of organize your thoughts, put everything into perspective.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Awareness is big. Over the years, I realized that a lot of healing can happen through awareness. That change could happen, but sometimes it's not. There's a more subtle way that for healing, and I think awareness can do so much. Or truth, there's a quote: the truth shall set you free. So I, everyone being truthful with ourselves and about what we want, and being okay with what we want. And then going from having reasons of why I want what I want, to I want it because I want it. And be okay with wanting what you want. So I hope you enjoyed today's session. Have a great day, evening, morning, wherever you are. And let me know, how did you find about this session here?
On Facebook, there's a group about I think it's like recovering from infidelity.
Yeah.
And
Healing from
so
infidelity.
yeah, so I was in that group because I'm in the middle of a pretty nasty divorce. And so I found this and yeah, just came on.
Cool. Sorry about what's happening there.
That's
And I
fine.
heard that you've done some things in church, so that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Being community heals also.
Yes.
Cool. Well, look forward to seeing you again. Have a great time practicing or going, spending time with your relationship agreements. And then you can now do it for anyone in your life. They don't have to know. If we had more time, then I would, role play how to have the conversations with them, for the people that you do want to have like this, show the agreement, have them say yes or no
Okay.
to meeting needs, yes or no to giving the wants, yes or no to respecting the boundaries. Well, we do cover that in detail in the 52 Weeks of Love training that happens every weekday.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you
Cool.
so much for having this, and I'll definitely check that out.
Yeah, welcome, Riley and Laurie. Hopefully you got some good stuff here too. And till next time, bye for now. Have a good one.
Bye.